He was inside the system everyone else wanted to climb. A corner office, a powerful title, a front row seat at Oracle. But something didn't feel right. Software was expensive, slow to install, locked behind contracts only large companies could afford. Sales teams sold complexity and called it value. Marc Benioff sold it too, and quietly began to doubt it. When he talked about change, people smiled politely. When he talked about the internet, they shook their heads. Software didn't belong in the cloud. Customers didn't want subscriptions. Enterprise systems weren't meant to be simple. That's what he was told. So when he left Oracle, it didn't look brave. It looked reckless. Colleagues questioned his judgment. Investors doubted his plan. Friends wondered why anyone would walk away from certainty. He wasn't just leaving a company. He was challenging an entire industry's logic. And when you do that, you don't get applause. You get suspicion. This is not a story about rebellion for attention. It's a story about someone who saw that the rules were outdated and decided to walk away anyway. This is the story of Marc Benioff. Leaving felt lighter than expected. Staying had been heavier. He stepped out without a safety net, carrying an idea most people dismissed as unrealistic at best and irresponsible at worst. Enterprise software was supposed to be owned, installed, maintained behind firewalls, sold through long contracts and longer meetings. He wanted none of that. He imagined software that lived online, updated itself, and charged by usage, not by fear. People questioned the trust. Who would put their data on someone else's servers? Who would pay monthly for something they were taught to buy once? The objections were endless, so was the doubt. He heard the same phrase again and again: it won't work for serious companies. So he focused on the opposite: small teams, growing businesses, people locked out of powerful tools because the system was built for those who already had power. He wrote the idea on a piece of paper: no software, not as a slogan, as a rejection. No disks, no installations, no waiting, just access. Early meetings were awkward, pitch decks were thin, questions came faster than answers. But he wasn't trying to convince everyone. He was trying to find the few who felt the same friction he did. Because systems don't collapse when everyone agrees. They collapse when a small group decides to stop participating. The first version was small, unpolished, easy to dismiss. People laughed at the idea of renting software. They said serious businesses didn't trust browsers. They said the internet was unstable and security was a myth. He leaned into the criticism. No software wasn't just marketing, it was a provocation. A billboard across from a conference hall, a red slash through a CD icon, a public refusal of how things had always been done. The reactions were loud. The adoption was quiet. A few companies tried it, not the giants, not the incumbents, but teams that needed speed more than prestige. They signed up in minutes. They logged in from anywhere. They didn't call IT. They didn't wait for installs. And when updates happened automatically, something shifted. The product wasn't perfect. The infrastructure was fragile. The margins were thin, but the model worked. Each customer paid a little. Each month compounded. Each renewal proved that ownership wasn't the only way to build trust. Competitors mocked the simplicity. Then they watched the growth. He didn't chase enterprise approval. He let usage do the arguing. The system he left behind was built on fear of change. The one he was building was built on convenience. And convenience, once tasted, is hard to take away. What started as skepticism slowly turned into curiosity, then concern, then imitation. Momentum didn't arrive as applause. It arrived as silence, the kind that follows acceptance. Renewals kept coming. Usage expanded. Customers stopped asking why it worked and started asking how far it could go. What began as a product became a platform. APIs opened. Partners built on top. Developers extended what was never meant to be closed. The old system relied on contracts. This one relied on habit. Competitors tried to copy the model. They added cloud features. They rebranded installations. They promised flexibility. But changing language was easier than changing structure because the old system was built to sell once. This one was built to earn trust every month. As adoption spread, the conversation shifted. Not is it safe, but why aren't we using it? Not will it last, but can we afford not to? The industry noticed too late. What they had dismissed as lightweight was actually adaptive. What they had mocked as simplistic was scalable, and what they had protected as tradition was friction. The system he broke didn't collapse overnight. It eroded, customer by customer, login by login, renewal by renewal. By the time resistance hardened, the new standard had already been set. Breaking the old system was never about confrontation. It was about replacement. He didn't defeat the old system. He outgrew it. What began as suspicion became dependency. What was once questioned became assumed. The company scaled without permission, not through force, but through alignment with how people actually worked. Updates arrived quietly. Features evolved in the background. Customers stayed because leaving felt harder than staying. The irony was clear. The system built to be owned aged quickly. The system built to be accessed kept adapting. He wasn't louder than his competitors. He wasn't faster in the beginning. He was simply willing to abandon what had already worked before it stopped working. That decision, to leave certainty, to accept suspicion, to rewrite the rules while others defended them, defined everything that followed. Salesforce didn't win by selling software. It won by removing friction. And Marc Benioff didn't build a company by perfecting the old game. He built it by refusing to keep playing. Some systems don't fall because they are attacked. They fall because someone quietly builds a better one and stops asking for permission.